And we are live. Guys, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Bassin Magazine podcast. Bassin Magazine, guys. Bassin Magazine is the official magazine of the Weekend Angler. My name is Jay Angel. I'm going to be your host. With us tonight, we have Brad Yoel from Bassin Magazine. And we have a very special guest, Violet Talley. Violet Talley is a bass tournament angler from Northeastern Illinois. That's my old stopping ground. She talks about lakes, and it's so good to actually have some information about those lakes because I've spent, my young adult years on those lakes. How are you doing tonight, Violet?
Good. It's been a rather busy week in my business. So I've, since I'm not fishing really hardly, I've kind of shifted from a fishing to hunting mode. But I also have to the holiday season is coming up, so my business is starting to pick up quite a bit. So working some late hours, but that's okay.
Well, thanks for coming on. Go ahead and give a shout out to your business. What is it, and how can people go there?
Well, I have a laser cutting and engraving business. I make all kinds of signage, like behind me, all those, my sponsors, I made all those signs so I can have them on my podcast. I do plaques. I do all kinds of things, anything that's laser engraved out of wood and acrylic. It's fireandearthphoto.com. And if you go there, there you go. There's a photo I did for Jay. I also engrave photos onto wood. So basically anything and anything I create, anything and everything out of wood and acrylic. And I cater to all kinds of markets. I do fishing reel stands for the high-end fishing reel markets. I've laser engraved fishing rods on the cork. I've done plaques for tournament series. I've done all kinds of things when it comes to wood and acrylic and other mediums. Just no metal. I can't do metal, but I can do everything else. And like I said, it's fireandearthphoto.com. So it's my own business that I run. I have my own studio apartment out here and really enjoy it.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. The signs behind you look amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I do that for my sponsor because I really appreciate each and every one of them. And I figured it was a good way. I got to add more to the wall. I just haven't had a chance to make more signs, but it's a nice way to give them some exposure.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
So what tournament trails did you follow in the 2022 year?
I do a lot of the local Midwest trails. I did the Mutiny Bass Anglers Trail, which is on the Fox Chain of Lakes. So that's a Chain of Lakes river system in northern Illinois. It's pretty big chain of lakes river systems that shallow, dingy water, a lot of structure type of water system. It's got a lot of lakes and channels and whatnot. Then I also do Lake Geneva, which is southern Wisconsin for Angler's Choice. And that's your, 150-foot deep, clear bowl lake. So it's a completely different style of fishing, which is good because I'd like to be a versatile angler. So I'd like to fish all kinds of different bodies of water. And then I did like a Wednesday night also on the chain, the Fox Chain of Lakes. And then I also did one more series, which is the Fox River Bassin, which is a river series on the Fox River, which flows from Wisconsin into Illinois to the Mississippi. So it's a big river system, but we concentrate in the in my area, in the Fox River Valley area. And so we do a lot of river fishing. So I got basically all the different types of body water. You got the deep clear, you got the shallow, dingy structure, and then you got the river. So that way I can become a versatile angler. And I love all three, to be honest with you. I'm still learning the Geneva because I'm not used to that deep, clear water type bite where everything's underwater, all your structure and contours and stuff. My favorite's the river fishing, of course. I mean, who doesn't like river fishing? It's fun.
Right.
Oh, love river fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spent a lot of time chasing smallmouth on the Fox.
Oh,
yeah. And what's funny is there's a part of the Fox where we're at where there's a lot of channels and whatnot. And we're mainly catching largemouth all year long. And we've brought in 15, 16 pounds of largemouth. Absolutely. I mean, We hardly caught any smallmouth this year.
I would target them underneath the dam. So, get in there with an old pair of tennis shoes and a pair of shorts.
No, I'll stay in the boat, Jay. I'll stay in the boat.
Right. That's a different style fishing for sure.
Yeah, I've done it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we all have to learn. And every once in a while, you never know. I still do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I grew up doing around Rockford, Illinois. Targeting the Kishwaukee River.
Kishwaukee is a great wadable river because it's very shallow, but it's amazing how shallow those giant smallmouth go. It's amazing.
Yeah. We'd find them in pools that, less than a foot deep and you can see them.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the hardest fish to catch.
Oh, of course.
Crystal clear water. You can see the fish and they can see you. But it's not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So what's up for the 2023 year for Violet Talley?
Oh, well, I was thinking about maybe toning down on the tournaments, and I thought I'm gonna miss it too much. So I'm gonna stay doing about 2 tournaments a week. So we do the Wednesday nights just to kind of stay busy and just to, it's almost kind of like practice, but it's fun atmosphere. Got a lot of great guys and gals that fish with us, and we're more like a big family, but we're very competitive, which is nice. And I'm going to keep the Geneva series, the river, and the chain series as well. So I'm going to stick with. I'm also going to do, like I said, this year I did angler's choice on Geneva. I'm going to continue to do that. Looks like we qualified for the Mississippi River lacrosse for next year, so that's where the championship's going to be. So I'm excited about that.
What pools?
Lacrosse. So that's pool. What is that? I'm not exactly sure which pool that is.
I never knew. I just
It's out of lacrosse. So we're going to be. It's going to be
okay. Yeah.
It's going to be out of right there on Alaska, I believe that is.
On Alaska. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The panfish capital of the world.
Right. Well, I'm considering going ice fishing up there. I mean, I really want to do a lot more ice fishing this year. I didn't get a chance as much last year as I wanted to, but yeah. So next year I'm going to do the same tournament series as this year, and I might dabble a little bit more and do some other stuff. I might just end up doing maybe more like single events, like maybe a lot of charity events, more events to help with the sponsors and the high school kids, with the bass fishing teams. I'm just going to try to fill up the schedule. I have a lot of seminars for next year, so I'm going to be traveling.
You do
seminars, yeah.
I know Jim Grant from Grant Rods was telling me you're going to be doing the seminars at the Indianapolis show.
Yeah, I'm booked for 6 days in Indianapolis, both weekends.
Wow.
So I'm really excited about that because I did last year. I did 2 days and 1 weekend, and they said I had such a great response. They wanted me back for both weekends. So, and it was fun. I got to be honest with you. I was never a public speaker, but when it comes to fishing. And people asking me questions and sharing with the public, I absolutely adore it. And I love the fishing aspect of it in the tournament. Of course, I'm always going to do that. But I think I almost love the, dealing with people and talking and interacting with them almost as much, because people are like sponges and they're so excited to see you and they want to learn. And, I got everything from, 4-year-old little girls to, senior citizens. Everybody's just wants to come and talk and share their fishing stories, which I'm more than happy to listen to them. Right. But I also, like I said, I love interacting with people and talking fishing. It's so much fun.
Well, one thing we like to talk about here on the Bassin Magazine podcast is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
What presentations do you have confidence in, and why do you think that is?
A jig. I can throw a jig anywhere, anyhow, in any body of water. But I'm more of a finesse fisherman. So I do a lot of slower, key, detailed, pinpoint presentations. So I'm going to be, I like targeting structure. I like targeting very specific points and working an area with a fine tooth comb. The waters that we have up here in Northern Illinois are highly pressured. So a lot of these fish see a lot of the stuff day in, day out. I mean, I can't tell you how many bass tournaments, let alone just regular fishing tournaments, crappie, catfish, you name it, almost daily on the chain of lakes. So those fish see a lot of baits. They're just pounded on, and moved from one location to another, to weigh-ins, to whatnot. So they're not going to be that aggressive, and they're not going to want to really chase a lot. So when it comes to fishing, my number one go-to is like a 3/8 ounce jig. And I can work that sucker on any cover, any place, anyhow, anywhere. And you could hop it, you could crawl it, you could roll it, you could do whatever, swim it. And on the chain, there's so many little dark crevices and areas where a 4-pounder likes to sit. And he's not going to eat unless you put it right in front of his face. And you got to have that super pinpoint finesse presentation to get that kicker fish that you need for the weigh-in. So that's really one of my favorite. And I could do that in deep water in Geneva too. We throw 3/4 ounce jigs there all the time. We're a little bit more aggressive in the style that we're looking for that reaction bite, because we're trying to key in certain fish in clear water. So they'll see it, but same thing. You still have to have a specific area. They're on a particular hump. They're on one side of the hump as opposed to the other because there's shade or whatnot. So my confidence is kind of keying in on a very specific area, especially when there's like a lot of underwater structure, where there's a lot of like a good transition. And I'm going to work that area with a fine tooth comb to try to trigger those fish into eating. So that's kind of my confidence. But a jig all the way. Skirted jig, I should say.
So if you're trying to do precision areas and go throw to specific areas, and also the deep water Geneva, you need a superior rod for that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. Of course. I mean, the Grant rods are, my absolute go-to favorite types of rods. So he could come in all different types of lengths and actions. And one of my favorite ones is like a medium action CUDA series is kind of like my favorite. So that's what I kind of use a lot because it's got the backbone to bring those big fish out, but it's also got that little bit faster action tip. So I can really get good at my casting, because when you want to get to those pinpoint areas, you really have to cast very well, and you have to be able to skip. You got 2 seconds because you got to move through that area because you're fighting the clock.
Right.
You know what I like about, I have several Grant rods as well, and what I like about them is if that fish is just nibbling on the very tip of like a cold front comes through, and that fish just wants to nip on the pinchers of your soft plastic. You can feel that.
Right.
When the second I feel that, I just slow down.
Right.
So some guys say, "Oh no, speed up." Well, I've done that, and usually I just end up losing a pincher.
I mean, it depends on where you're at. I mean, obviously, I haven't really fished all across the country, and there's certain areas where those fish are a little going to be more aggressive certain times of the year. But I just found that up here where I'm at, most of the time, that slow, very steady, very particular presentation is really going to, it's really going to pay off for you. I mean, the problem is you have to be patient, and you are fighting the clock. So you have to be really confident about the area that you're going to do that in, because you could waste a lot of time very easily.
Yes, I agree with you. But still, that sensitivity is, I think that's just absolute key with these kind of presentations. That's why I use the Grant rods, the braid going to at 20 pounds fluorocarbon meter.
Right.
If I can get away with direct, like down here in the marsh or in the swamp, where it's all stained water.
Right.
I'll do that. You just have to be more careful with the way you do a cook set.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit. Sometimes you got to get right on it. You just got to kind of read the fish. You're going to find out after the first couple of bites what you need to do. I mean, towards the end of the year last year, our water level was really low, and the fish were pretty lockjawed, and I could get them to bite. I just couldn't get them to stay on. And half the fish I lost on the way to the boat. I'd say there was only probably a 25% hookup ratio.
Wow.
But I was getting bites when other people couldn't get a bite to save their life all day. And so, and it's funny because my partner in my boat wouldn't believe me. Sometimes he goes, "Oh, it's got to be a bluegill or whatnot, whatever." And I said, "Well, hold on, let me skip in there." And here comes out a 3.5 pounder. I was lucky because that particular cast, that hookup ratio was exceptionally good, because he wrapped himself around a pole twice before he got to the boat, and I still got him in the boat. And that was a miracle, because all these other fish just pop off when you hit hook set just fine straight to the boat.
So Brad, what do you do when you have fish that you just cannot keep buttoned?
Right, exactly. What do you do?
I mean, you just got to keep going because they're biting. You just got to figure out if it's one, if I'm out there and I'm fishing and I pitch to a dock and boom, boom, I can feel the fish and I set the hook and he's there and he's off. Well, about your third fish that's off, you kind of learn, hey, slow down, wait just one more second. And that half second isn't very long, but it could be long enough for them to get it just a little bit more in their mouth and turn and be able to set. And it's hard to do, especially in a tournament when you're against the clock, like Violet said.
Okay, we have a question from Cajun Rob. Cajun Rob's a great friend of the Bassin Magazine podcast, Violet.
Okay.
He's from Southern Kentucky. He fishes mostly in Tennessee. He says, "What's your favorite way to fish in the fall during the pouring rain?"
Oh wow. Well, if it's in the pouring rain, I try to throw something like a chatterbait. Something's going to give a little bit more noise, something that's going to let the fish pinpoint what's in the water. I'll either go with that depending on how fast we're moving. But if we're moving pretty fast, or if we're trying to get through an area, I'll throw a chatterbait. Something that's going to give it's going to really get those fish to key in on it. Something that's a little bit brighter. Like I actually throw a lot of white up here. And because a lot of the bait fish is a lighter color, and white just I just found out does really well up here, especially on the river system, even if the water's a little clearer. But I'm dealing with a lot of stained water and darker water. But I'll do something like that. Maybe put a chartreuse at the end of the swim bait or the craw that I put on that chatterbait, something so they can key in and pinpoint on there. Or I'll just go back to the flipping on with my jig where, because if there's a lot of commotion in the water's getting stirred up, those fish aren't going to be as pinpointed. So I'm going to have to either go find them or draw them in. So either a chatterbait or a jig is what I'll do. Chatterbait if I have to move faster, or jig if I have a chance to pinpoint more.
Okay, that's a great answer.
Are you putting a trailer on the chatterbait at all?
Yeah, I'll throw like a swim bait. I got one of the things I really love to use is a missile bait shockwave. It's got a paddle tail on it. I'll use these.
Sure.
Or I'll throw one of the craws, or like a D-bomb. So the nice thing about this is it's got the paddle tail on it.
Yeah.
So, and you could put that on it. It's got a nice motion on it, kind of like a lot like the Kitex as well. But the missile baits makes a great one called the Shockwave. Or I'll throw the D-bomb on there, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with the D-bomb.
Oh yeah.
I know you are, Jay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same thing. So you got that flutter of the fins, and it's got a really nice motion to it. So I'll put that on the end, just depending on the time of the year. If they're eating craws, I'll throw the craw. If it's like, if there's a lot of bait in the water, like you've got a lot of shad or whatnot, I'll throw the swim bait on there.
Brock Mosley, who did very well a couple years ago in the Elite Series, likes to throw a chatterbait with the Yamamoto Seiko.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
And he has a white with the white. So I mean, when that thing flutters through the water, it looks like a shad.
Right.
So I fished with a guy, and he was kind of throwing that chatterbait a little bit different. The way that he was fishing this, he would cast out and fill the bottom. We were about 12 foot of water, which is pretty deep where I fish. But he was fishing it like a jig, but on his hops, he would kind of give it a little burn. So it was hopping maybe 2 feet. And with that trailer on there and hitting the bottom, it seemed like it triggered more than just cast and retrieve. Right.
I do that yo-yo effect. And that actually was when I was up in Big Green one day. I was fishing with my partner. He couldn't get a bite to save his life, but I was finding out that if I let it drop and then ripped it through the grass and then let it drop and rip it through the grass, it was enough to trigger them for that reaction bite. So I'll do a lot of that as well with the chatterbait, just that subtle, inconsistent type of motion so it's not a steady retrieve. I do that quite a bit because it just seems to trigger a reaction bite more than just a steady. Because a lot of times, if you look at underwater footage, you'll see a lot of bass who aren't really eating. They're going to watch that chatterbait go by. They might chase it for a little bit and then forget. But if you just stop it and let it fall, they'll follow it down, stare at it. You'll hop it again because like I have forward-facing sonar. I see that a lot. I'll see the bass come down as it falls. That's when they're actually going to go at it. It hits the ground. They stop and stare at it.
Yeah.
Then you go to rip it again. They'll come up and they want to grab it because they think it's coming out of their reach. So sometimes that is a much better presentation than just a slow retrieve.
Okay. Wow, that's really interesting. Did you say you were on Big Green?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. I haven't been there in a long time.
Okay. If you go back there again, make sure you contact Mike Norris. He's
Mike for sure.
We just lost Brad.
Uh-oh.
Well, that happens. So anyways, yeah. Big Green, Mike Norris has that lake dialed in.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to him. I've seen him I usually see him at the shows, so it's I'll have to talk to him because I haven't been up there in a while, but I'd like to get up there again. What do we call it? Big Geneva? Is that what they call it? Because it's a lot like Geneva, but it's a little better because there's a lot more little inlets and whatnot's deeper. But it's been a while since I've been there, and I've been wanting to go.
Yeah, and there aren't as many boats on it as there are in Geneva.
Right, exactly.
Well, Brad's back. Welcome back, Brad.
Hey, Violet, that's another thing. We always have technical difficulties. Sometimes it's a trademark of our podcast.
That's okay.
It's part of our brand.
It's part of our brand. It's really like a boat. There's always something wrong.
Oh gosh, yeah, God, do I know about that?
Yeah, believe me, Violet knows about boat problems.
Well,
I thought if I got rid of my boat and got a kayak, I wouldn't have those issues, but that's wrong too. It's the same.
Yeah, well, I have a kayak. It's called my backup boat. That's what it is. You never know.
Yeah.
So you have kayak issues too, Brad?
Do we have kayak issues? Yeah, we have two
Yeah.
kayak issues a year.
2 kayak issues. No.
Oh, I thought you meant magazine issues. Yeah, there's kayak issues every time something's wrong.
Something's always wrong with your kayak is what you know.
And then when nothing's wrong, a couple rods go over the side. That's what usually happens.
Oh,
Right,
good
right.
Lord.
Oh yeah.
Right. Hey, check out boomerang retrieval devices. Save your outdoors. I don't know if you've seen those, but man,
Yes, I have. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, to retrofit on your fishing rod and to be able to drop it in the water, it has a salt activated tablet and it shoots the bobber up, and you can just grab it and pull your rod up. It has saved so many of my rods. It's almost a must have.
That's a great idea. I never thought of. I thought about it, but I didn't think about it because I've tried the latches and the bungees and whatnot. But they always get in the way. And
Right.
then I just ended up carrying. I started carrying a big giant magnet that's got a 20-foot paracord on there. That helped me a couple times.
Yeah.
But again, you have to have that with you and whatnot. But it's okay.
Yeah.
The Fox all you were finding were semi-automatic pistols, right?
Yeah. I hope not. I haven't yet.
The Savior Outdoors is just a little bitty. It's just a knob that goes on the end of your rod, on the end of a cork rod, they make them for spinning rods and casting rods, but you're not battling a tether or anything like that. It's just, you never even know it's there until you need it when your rod's gone. Yeah. It's amazing. I wish I knew the website. I'd tell you. Yeah.
Oh, I'll find it. I think I've seen it.
Yep. Ah.
So are you fishing any kayak tournaments then, Violet?
No, I never got it. Well, when I got my kayak is the only reason I got to that because, before I knew this whole world that I'm in now, I didn't know this whole world existed, and I didn't want anything to do with tournament fishing. And I was strictly shore fisherman, and there's limited access, and was talking to somebody one day and I saw people kayak fishing. I go, well, that's a great idea. So I went and got just a quick kayak from like Menards or something, just some sit-in kayak. And then I didn't realize all the really crazy kayaks that were out there. This is when it like barely started. This is years and years and years ago. It's now really popular right now. But when people just really started modifying kayaks and doing the sit on top kayaks. So I decided to get a smaller one. So I have a nice sit on top that's kind of all geared up. Right about the time I got that, I started fishing. I started fishing with a bass club, and next thing you know, I got into a boat. And so I have the kayak just to have it just in case, or if I want to go like on a small private lake or launch somewhere where I can't launch a big boat.
Yeah,
I'll go. Yeah. But I haven't really used my kayak in the last year and a half, almost 2 years. So
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep, I understand.
Well, Violet,
you have a boat, it's so much. It's a little easier, you just can't cover the water in a kayak. Well, mine you can't because mine's all it's all hand power. I don't have any foot power.
Right. Okay. Yeah. If you got a foot power, I'm not even gonna throw brands out there, but I have Hobies. The foot power when you're pedaling with your feet, hands-free fishing, it makes a world of difference. And Native's got them, Old Town's got them. So many kayak brands have pedal drives, and even Pelican has a pedal drive now, and those are on sale at Academy for $7.99.
Yeah.
Sit on top pedal, yeah. And now that technology's out there with all these other brands, you can go top of the line. You can get a beginner kayak. Anybody that's listening, it's amazing because you're on the water, you're closer down, you're stealthier. You can get where bass boats aren't. There's pros and cons to having a boat. There's pros and cons to having a kayak. And if you have both, you can definitely go catch fish.
Yeah, and the kayak, what's nice is it's really nice, big. It's a very easy DIY project. You can modify a kayak any way you want. You can use PVC crates. Sky's the limit on how you want to modify it. It's modified to you, so it's the most comfortable for you. But you're right, everything's at water level. Everything's within reach of your hand. Yep. It's amazing how much storage you can fit on those kayaks. You just hope you never have an issue on the water where everything decides to fall out of the kayak. That hasn't happened, thank God, knock on wood. But there's the kayaks out there are so sophisticated now. You could stand on them. You could,
Yeah.
That's what I'll probably end up upgrading If I ever get into it again, I will probably upgrade to a pedal drive and something that's a little bit more stable and wider. Right now, I just have like a 10.5-foot feel free Mocha. It's just a really smaller one, but it's a nice sit on top.
Yeah, that's a good kayak.
Yeah, it's got Lowrance unit on there. I got the sonar and stuff. So it does the job. It's great. I've caught a lot of great fish on it. I have some YouTube videos where I've done fishing. I actually got, my favorite one was I went to Waukegan Harbor on Lake Michigan and caught two king salmon out of the kayak.
Sweet.
And I had never, and I had the rod in a rod holder, and the first salmon hit, and I didn't expect on how hard it hit. I couldn't get the rod out of the rod holder. That's how hard he was pulling.
Wow.
And my kayak just went everywhere. But it's great because I didn't have to worry about the line break, and he's going to pull me before the line breaks, and
yeah,
fight him all the way into the kayak. So, which was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That is awesome. A lot of salmon and steelhead in Waukegan Harbor. Yeah.
Yep.
Here's George Johnson. You know George Johnson?
Yes, I know George Johnson.
He said, "What is your opinion of Delavan Lake compared to other lakes that you fish?"
I have not spent a lot of time on Delavan. I did kayak fish Delavan a couple times. I was just targeting pike mostly because the pike population there it's fun catching them. But otherwise, as far as bass, I only did one tournament there recently. We did an angler's choice. I like Delavan. It's fish is small. It's a small lake. So, we had 54 boats on that lake, and it didn't matter where you were going to bump into somebody. But it's nice. It's compared to Geneva, it's a little different. It's much weedier. It's not as deep, but it's got some nice fish in there. Because their limit on fish is 18 inches. So a lot of the bass population there is pretty big.
Yes.
But that's why they also don't hold tournaments there, because you have to pull a special permit, and that's hard to do. But as far as, I just don't have enough knowledge. I know George has been on there quite a bit, so I think I'll have to hire him as a guide if I ever want to go on there, because I've seen the posts on his Facebook, and he knows what the heck he's doing and then some. So hopefully I can get a chance to get out there and fish with him.
Well, I love Delavan Lake. There's so many different ways that you can target those fish. So many different ways. You have deep water, shallow water. You have canals. You have a couple of different bays. You have the long area of slop. From the boat ramp out to the main lake, or the dike in back of the dike.
Yeah, there's some good frog fishing there, unlike Geneva. Yes. There's not hardly any frog fishing in Geneva, but you can get it on Delavan for sure.
Yes. Oh, so many different things. Well, we're about out of time, so could you please do some quick shout outs?
Oh, of course. Number one, Grant Rods, obviously. Jim Grant's been phenomenal with me, and he has not just helped me, as a sponsor, just with the product. He kind of saw more to me than just a fisherman, which was nice. So he's helped promote me to the fishing community. So through him, I was able to get a lot of seminars, but I never knew I'd be able to do a lot of the seminars or enjoy it. But I guess he saw it in me before I did, which was really awesome. So he's got me a lot of connections and stuff. And so we've become more of like a family with the pro staff that he has, because he doesn't have a lot of pro staffers, because he wants that way. He wants certain people promoting his product. He's got a very high-end product. It's not your average rod that you're going to pick up at a store for $100. Yeah, they're a little bit more expensive, but I got to tell you, every rod I fish twice a week. Usually I'm in the back of the boat, so they bang around a lot. And for 3 years now, almost every single rod I have looks brand new, and I beat the heck out of my gear. I don't have 100 rods. I got 20 rods, and I use every single one of them every week. So you really need a good quality rod. And then of course Lake County Water Sports, because they have been phenomenal at, helping me get, my boat sponsorships, Mercury, Lowrance, Power Pole. They work with me, and everybody that I bring in, every customer I bring in, they give them the best treatment. But that's just how they are with every customer. But it's funny. They said, even when they're busy, which they're busy pretty much every single day of the year, they're a very busy shop. But they always tell me, Violet, if you ever have anybody that needs to come in, let us know. We'll clear a bay for them. I said, well, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much.
Wow.
So they take care of everybody really well there. Just, it's like any place, they're going constantly busy. Everybody's kind of low on techs, but they get the job done, and they have customers for life. So they take care of me, and, they're great people.
Great. Well, Jim Grant introduced me and Violet.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Jim's introduced us to a lot of people. What's nice, he's been in the industry for, how long now? And 40 plus years. Or that's probably how long he's been making rods, probably longer than that. And so he's gotten to know a lot of people, and he's really good about, making great networking and business contacts, not just for business, but just to have good people surround you. And that's one of his mottos is, you got to keep your circle clean, have good people around you, because we all take care of each other, especially in this industry. It's really a small industry if you really look at
it. It is, yep.
He always says that to me, keep your circle clean and small.
Mm-hmm.
One person can bring down an empire.
Absolutely. And then you're also one person away from success.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. Oh, Brad, do you have anything else?
I don't. I would like to ask you to be able to come back and start the next podcast with how do you manage 20 rods and decide which rods you want to rig up. So
easy.
yeah. We'll bring you back for that for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you guys. I really enjoyed it.
We've been trying to get Violet on for about 6 months, but she is always busy on Wednesday nights.
I know Wednesday nights. I love my Wednesday nights, and like I said, I was gonna try to get a couple times, or maybe I won't fish, but it's so hard not to fish on a Wednesday night.
Oh yeah.
You need those points. So
yeah.
So, anyways, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Bassin Magazine podcast. Bassin Magazine, guys, it's the official magazine of the weekend. The Weekend Angler. Talley personifies that, and that's why we like to have her on.
Thank you guys so much. It was very nice. Thank you.
Stick around after we end the podcast, Violet. We'd like to talk to you for a few minutes. And thank you, everybody, again. And you know what? It's Wednesday night, guys. Make your weekend plans. Get out there and fish, because you only get to do this once.